This woman is taking a bath without knowing it. The secrets of her body had already been seen cleanly because she didn't notice the mirror on the wall and the eyes in the crack of the door. The woman's name is Jenny. She has the face, the legs, and the body. She was a free spirit. When she was young, she defied her father. She was determined to go free, but her father died after a long illness. I didn't even see the last of him. This became the biggest regret of Jenny's heart. In order to atone for her sins, through a lawyer's introduction, she found a job as a caregiver. However, this job is not as easy as Jenny thought. It was even a nightmare for Jenny's life. The job seemed simple. It was to help Amy, the old lady, take care of her paralyzed partner, Chuck. Chuck is partially paralyzed. It was hard to make a face. He could only move his eyes and two arms. After a few days, Jenny noticed that Chuck was behaving very strangely. Every day it was like he was under a spell, either tugging her hand hard or trying to send help signals. Amy was even weirder. She always had a serious face. She doesn't look good to anyone. 5 nurses had already been chased away when confronted with Jenny, a newcomer to the hospital. First, she disliked Jenny for being black, and then she said that Jenny had tattoos on her body and was indecent. Jenny was smiling on her lips. In her heart, she was so angry that she turned around and wanted to leave. After being persuaded by her lawyer, Jenny considered the patient. She stayed. Amy's house is located in New Orleans. It's off the beaten path. It's eerie. The layout of the house is even weirder. Jenny just stayed here. She found that there were no mirrors in the whole house. Amy explained that old people don't need mirrors. If you need one, please help yourself. Amy gave Jenny a master key. This key can open all the doors. Days passed by. Soon Jenny became suspicious of a room in the attic. It was a room that often made noises, but it was locked securely. It wouldn't open. When Amy wasn't looking, Jenny tried to find a way. Finally opened the door of the closed room. The room was filled with a lot of witchcraft stuff. There were all kinds of weird animal parts and a lot of old black records. After Jenny pressed her, Amy finally told her the story of this room. There used to be a couple living here. One day, the man suddenly kidnapped the family's 2 children as a ritual of some kind of witchcraft. Finally, the people here found out. The man was burned alive. The man's ghost is still there. He often appears in the mirror of the house. Jenny is half convinced. When she was bathing the old man with disabilities, deliberately opened the mirror and looked at it. Did not find anything unusual. But when he turned the mirror to the old man, this scene directly scared the caregiver Jenny. Can everyone accept herself? Everyone can see the ghost in the mirror. She didn't believe it. The next day, she put a mirror in the old man Chuck's room in the open, and sure enough, that very night, Jenny was awakened by a strange scream, as if deliberately reminding her of something. She immediately ran to Chuck's room. The room was empty. Jenny opened the window, only to see a figure climbing outside the window. This person is the disabled Chuck. Chuck heard Jenny's screams, so anxious that he fell from the roof to the lawn, but he ignored the pain. He continued to climb like a man on the run. Jenny called for Amy. Strangely enough, Amy looked like she wasn't surprised and asked Jenny if she hadn't given Chuck his medicine in time. At this point, Chuck was staring straight at Jenny, mouth like repeating a distress message. The next thing is even weirder. Jenny first saw a white cloth. On the white cloth were written several words to help me. However, the next day, the lawyer came to the old house, again took out the white cloth, but the words on it disappeared. And that's when Amy walked in. The lawyer turned to Amy and said, "You are the most important woman in my life." Jenny couldn't believe her ears. This is all so strange. Jenny, who was not a superstitious person, faced with so many strange phenomena, now she was half trusting. Now there was only one last solution left. That was the witchcraft that Amy had mentioned by chance. Jenny went to an exorcism store, bought some exorcism supplies. That night she took them to her room and gave Chuck an exorcism. Through the witchcraft and Chuck's excited emotions, Jenny confirmed this. Then she followed the witchcraft requirements. She began to heal Chuck. Soon Chuck's condition improved. Not only could he move his hand, which had suffered a stroke, he could even speak completely. He kept saying that he wanted Jenny to get him out. At that moment Amy noticed the difference. She put a stop to it. Looking at the nervous Amy, Jenny suddenly realized Chuck has been preventing the person is probably Amy. That night she sprinkled a bag of brick powder, wanted to test Amy's reaction, but this trick seems to be quickly recognized by Amy. The usual tricks can no longer deal with Amy. So Jenny injected the roofies into the sugar cube, because Amy always adds sugar before drinking tea. But Amy is obviously not stupid.
You think I'm senile, don't you?
Then the power went out in the house. Amy went to get a candle. Jenny took the opportunity to drug her cup again. Amy came back and took a few sips, instantly lost consciousness and fell to the ground. Amy rushed to pull out the shelter amulet, seemingly trying to stop this from happening.
Keep him in this house. Keep him in this house. It's mine.
Jenny grabbed the amulet and ran back to her room, took the disabled Chuck and ran straight away. She tried to drive through the iron gate of the old house, but the iron door was impenetrable. She plucked up all her strength, and she tried again, but the car directly overturned. Amy was coming after her. Jenny had to put Chuck in the warehouse first, then she rode away alone. She fled to her lawyer's house and asked for help. Jenny saw the anomaly again. Atop lawyer's desk, there was a book for entry-level lawyers. Underneath the book there were a lot of pictures of herself. And pulling open the drawer contains witchcraft items from the attic. Jenny reacted, but the next thing she knew, the lawyer had Jenny by the neck and slammed her to the ground, sent back to Amy's house. Only then did Jenny realize the target was never Chuck, but herself. Jenny saw the brick dust on the ground. She had a plan. She offered to go to the room to get the photo of her father. The lawyer just agreed. Jenny ran away. At that moment, she put all her last hope in witchcraft. She rushed to the attic, using the candles on the floor, took out the sheltering charm, sprinkled with brick dust, and began to cast the spell. When Jenny had done all this, Amy did not panic to catch up with her. She told Jenny, and
Who exactly gave you that spell? All that circle protects is you from leaving it.
protective spell under her feet is actually a cage that traps her. When she started relying on witchcraft, Amy had already succeeded. Jenny hissed in pain. When she slowly opened her eyes, she found that she was already in Amy's body. It turned out that this was actually a body snatching. Amy and the lawyer are the couple. The story ends with the police coming over. Jenny and Chuck were taken to the hospital. They looked at each other. Jenny understood everything, but it was too late.